That's what. Okay, we're back. Okay.
Lon didn't mean to be rude. He just.
I was.
You can't help it.
I was groping. Married 56 years.
Anyway.
Still fighting me off.
Do something different this week. I'm wearing different lipstick and I'm deciding. And my brain is. I'm trying to improve my brain. And we're here without Monday night class, so I'm reading Robert Allen's. I'm continuing to read Robert Allen's book, Imago. And for some reason, I am compelled to write commentaries to it, which is a brain exercise. It's like I'm giving myself a class, but it's something different. And it even maybe it inspired me. We finally are our dining room chairs that we bought for our 20th anniversary. Yes, 20th anniversary.
30-some years ago.
35 years ago. One of them got cracked by the movers and they were all kind of loose. So a nice man took them away this morning to reglue them at great expense. But then I'm babysitting the neighbor's cat for 2 weeks while they go to Rome. So I'll have chair fixing money. Anyway, it's something different. So do something different today. So that's all I have to say. It'll help your creativity if you do something different. Maybe your mood, because I'm pretty relaxed because I didn't get enough sleep. The phone rang this morning at like 5:30 for no reason. It was one of those robocalls, I think. So anyway, which is only about 45 minutes before we get up, but it'll go wrong 45 minutes.
Yes, we think unkind thoughts to the telemarketers.
I'm too sleepy to think unkind thoughts.
That's how tired we are.
Anyway, have a good day and do something different, whatever it is.
Crowley said, change your luck just by doing something totally different and uncharacteristic.
Even if it's eating something different or just anything, something. Anyway. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Maybe doing something different every day. We'll see what happens.
Well,
I'm going to buy vegetables now, which is
and allow me to compliment you on your color scheme today.
Yes, we already talked about my Goodwill sweater.
Yes. Okay, Comrade Peaches.
He's allowed to call me Peaches as long as he puts Comrade in front of it.
This is Comrade Peaches.
Now, you may turn the camera now, before I leave.
You're not a Pinko, you're a Samano.
He's punchy, he's going for really dumb jokes.
Yes. Okay, well, if anybody is still watching after
our camera around.
I'll turn the camera around. Let's see here if I can turn the...
I can't even get it off.
There I am. Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay, darling.
That was
worthless. That was. I would say memorable.
I smell something out here that something that Earth people might call food is wafting through the car windows.
There's some kind. Well, anyway, are you still there? Okay, I had something in my. Oh, yes, a couple things I want to say. My good friend, and recently discovered my good friend and neighbor, David Allen Hulse, is dropped me a mind-blowing email yesterday concerning my magical number 444, and it's just I'm just going to have to talk with him more about it, because he is, at least in my opinion, one of the world's greatest Hermetic Kabbalists. And he just lives down the street from me, and I've admired him for years, and he's the author of The Key of It All, okay, the massive 2-volume set of correspondences and cross-references in Hebrew and Greek and Chinese and Enochian and all of that. But it was just absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm trying to figure out how best to share that or have him share it with you. But anyway, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, elegant thing concerning like the valuation of the Hebrew alphabet as mentioned in the Book of the Law. But anyway, that being said, I want to say something nice about this book. Now, I'm sure you're seeing it backwards, but it's the Grimoire of Aleister Crowley by the brilliant Rodney Orpheus. Okay. Now, I don't know if any of you are unfamiliar with Rodney Orpheus. He's a force of nature, number one, but he's also a record producer and a rock star himself. The Cassandra Complex people. He's an award-winning person in the record industry and the gaming industry. I might add. He's just somebody you just want to grow up to be like. Okay. And he's written the classic Thelemic text Abrahadabra and other things, but this is kind of his newest offering called the Grimoire of Aleister Crowley, and it deals with Thelemic rituals, Crowley rituals, as applied to group rituals, and it's highly usable and practical, especially if you work with others. But it's got absolutely, it's a massive book. It's almost 300 pages. And he was kind enough, he was charitable enough to ask me to write the foreword to it. And I'm going to share with you, I think when it first appeared not too long ago, I might have shared this with you then, but I thought I'd do it this morning too. So this is the foreword to Rodney Orpheus's Grimoire of Thelema. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Magic is a lonely art. It must ever be so, because ultimately we are each a universe unto ourselves. The whatever it is we are was alone when incarnated into this corporeal dimension, and it will be alone at the timeless instant we shuffle off this mortal coil. But as we labor through the measured ticks of space-time on this side of the pylons of birth and death, our whatever it is we are is surrounded and assailed by a vast assortment of other whatever it is we are. Other monads of consciousness who are also universes unto themselves. And some of these other universes are fellow magicians. Magic is also, first and foremost, a self-transformational art. It may be the magician's intent to effect changes in his or her outer life circumstances. As example, I want the girl next door to fall in love with me. But the success of any magical operation designed to bring about that romantic outcome will most assuredly be, in large part, the consequences of the magician becoming transformed into the type of person the girl next door falls in love with. I'm sure there are knowledgeable and skilled magicians who will disagree with my sweeping assertion that the only thing I can change with magic is myself. It is, of course, a statement that's impossible for me to prove or disprove, and frankly, I'm not inclined or motivated to try. I'm not trying to establish or defend magical doctrine. I simply know that for me, at this season of my life, at this moment in my magical career, the thing that needs to change most in my world is me. I have to confess the prospect of magic being a form of consciously directed self-evolution was not what initially attracted me to the art so many years ago. Naturally, I told myself I was doing all this to gain enlightenment, to achieve spiritual liberation. But in truth, it was the allure of wearing a black hooded robe and strutting around in darkened temples, brandishing my wand and sword against terrible demons, cowering in terrified obedience before my radiant adeptship. Man, would I look cool doing that. No matter how noble and altruistic my conscious pretenses were, Lon Milo DuQuette, the post-adolescent magician, inwardly desired power. Power to master the cruel and chaotic circumstances of my life. Power to right the wrongs I was witnessing in the world around me. Power to set things straight and in harmony with my own, obviously already enlightened, vision of personal, moral, social, political, and spiritual absolutes. As comically deluded as I might have been, there is, of course, nothing fundamentally wrong with such youthful and militant idealism. Nothing wrong with wanting to change the world for the better and setting to work to do just that. I guess the biggest flaw in my aspirational game plan was that I was overlooking the fact that in order for me to use magic to begin making these changes, I would have to first consciously evolve into a real magician. As luck would have it, I would, early in my career, come under the influence and tutelage of magicians who would, in their unique way, either by positive example, negative example, or admonition, make sure I never forgot this fundamental fact of life. Foremost among my senior mentors were Phyllis Seckler, Soror Merrill, Grady L. McMurtry, Jimenez Alpha 777, Helen Parsons Smith, Soror Grimaud, and Francis Israel Regarde. All these dear people are now deceased. McMurtry and Regarde trained directly under Crowley, and Seckler had been a student of Jane Wolfe, a student of Crowley's and at one time resident of Crowley's famous Abbey of Thelema in Sicily. Parsons Smith was the double widow of Jack Parsons and the famed magician and rocket scientist, and Wilford P. Smith. Both were, at different times, masters of Agape Lodge, OTO, in Southern California. These colorful people kept me from being entirely alone in the early years of my quest. Because of their efforts, and more often despite their efforts, I was, in the mid-1970s, baptized into the magic fire of Thelema. With their encouragement, cynicism, and guidance, I formally took up the disciplines of Crowley's magical orders, the AA and Ordo Templi Orientis. My AA work began under the guidance of Seckler and was, or should have been, an entirely private affair. My OTO experience, on the other hand, required me to work in a more public manner and with other magicians all over the world. Sometimes many other magicians. In fact, an important aspect of OTO's magical curriculum is the development of the individual magician's ability to work in concert and to survive within the complexities of a uniquely organized society, populated by a cast of militantly independent magicians, some whom are as intractable, imperfect, and as flawed as myself. It's a very important part of the magical training of an OTO initiate. As you might expect, Crowley didn't make the OTO ordeal an easy one. In fact, I've known more promising magicians to wreck on the shoals of the Order's societal challenges than for any other reason. More often than not, however, I usually come to see the wisdom and genius of Crowley's magical vetting process. Now, whether or not they've established formal AA relationships, a great many OTO initiates and others who consider themselves thelemic magicians embark on the study and practice of the various rituals Crowley developed for the edification of AA magicians. The system of practice of these rituals vis-a-vis the magician's personal initiatory climb up the tree of life of consciousness is generally viewed in thelemic circles as doing the work. The work is certainly there to do. The rituals and a few commentaries are published in a plethora of sources. One of the finest collections is found in the magnificently ponderous Liber ABA Book 4, but for many years, most of us relied almost exclusively on the ritual libers that appeared in the appendices of magic and therian practice. Armed with little more than these libers and the roadmap of the Tree of Life, 4 generations of magicians have set out alone on the thelemic path of return, dissecting, cross-referencing, and trying to make sense of the bewildering subtleties of Crowley's evolving thought, and then attempting to transfer that understanding to the temple environment in coherent ceremonies that can be performed by and for the benefit of one person. To say that's a challenge to the lone magician would be a beastly understatement. Yes, magic is a lonely art. But does it always need to be that lonely? I don't believe so. And neither does my brother, Rodney Orpheus. People, even magicians, sometimes need other people. There are moments in my life when I don't know what I am, where I am, or who I am, unless I can see myself momentarily reflected in the souls of others around me. The term thelemic group ritual may sound like an oxymoron, but it needn't be one. As Brother Orpheus reveals, many of Crowley's most significant rituals started out as group rituals. For me, it is profoundly helpful, at times even necessary, to see the complex dynamics of my own inner magical mechanisms portrayed as different officers in a ritual. I can, and of course must, eventually integrate all these officers into myself. But first I have to know who they are and what they do and what they mean to me. That is most easily and elegantly done by seeing them operate in a group drama. I took one look at Rodney's group treatments of the ritual of the Mark of the Beast and the invocation of Horus and was thrown back in my chair in stunned admiration. My gods, why hasn't someone done this before? This might sound like a rhetorical question, but in fact it does indeed have an answer. The reason someone hasn't done this before is because there are presently very few individuals living today who are qualified by education and experience to do so, and even fewer with the writing talent and communication skills to bring it all to life on the printed page. Brother Orpheus is the incarnation of both these aspects of genius. Whether he is expounding upon classic Crowley rituals or creating and developing his own thelemic ceremonies, the magician reader can be confident that he or she is in good hands. Magic may be a lonely art, but it doesn't mean we must always be alone on our journey. And it doesn't mean we won't always need friends. Love is a law, love under will. And that's what I'm going to end today's parking lot discussion with today. And in keeping with we always have to have friends, I was reminded of that in spades by that magnificent little note that my friend David Allen Hulse left me yesterday. And hopefully I'll figure out a way to share that with you. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.